Welcome back to 101 Sports. I'm joined at the desk with Curt, Lestan, and Ciesielski to talk some competitive figure skating, or also known in Canada as hockey. Okay, guys, look at the contenders. Who needs to make moves, and who do they need to get? Starting with you, Curt.
Well, I got to say, the Boston Bruins, I think are a team that really need to make a move going into this postseason and going into the trade deadline because, frankly, they lost Dennis Seidenberg. He's the number 2 next to Chara, okay? Without him, this team is not going to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. They won't. If they had him in the lineup, they would be there. They would represent the Eastern Conference. There's not another team better than them. But without a true number 2 and having young kids next to Chara, they won't make it.
You know, when you're talking about the Eastern Conference, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins can make a case to be the best team in the East. But I'm going to talk about a team that is
They don't win in the postseason, Cam. They choke.
They won the Cup in 2009.
Okay, 2009. And what has Sidney Crosby and that team done since then? They choke. They do.
Okay, I mean, they made the playoffs every year, and the Bruins won in 2011.
Continue. Go ahead.
Okay, but I'm looking at a team that was right where the Bruins were at the end of last season. 4th in the East, that's Tampa Bay Lightning. This team is young and a little bit inexperienced, but they're very, very talented.
Sure.
And I see Steve Yzerman looking to make a move at this deadline. And I think the guy he's going to go after is Ryan Kesler.
Interesting.
You look
I like the name.
You look at Stamkos and Kessler as 1-2 center. Val Filppula at number 3. You know, that's a very competitive lineup, and they can make a push to be where the Bruins were last year.
It certainly would help the team to have a true number 2 center. And, you know, now it's confirmed that the Vancouver Canucks are sellers. They just moved Luongo. Anything can happen after that.
So we talked about who needs to sell. Who's buying? Who needs to sell in the NHL?
You know, I'm looking at the Calgary Flames. 13th place in the Western Conference right now. Brian Burke is at the helm of this team. And we've seen in past deadlines, he's not afraid to make big moves when he was with Toronto. I look at him going to get size. A guy like Matty Molson in Buffalo. And moving a guy like Mike Camilleri. You know, this guy's 5'11". He's a great scorer, but he's not what the team needs right now. Unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. I think he's out of Calgary.
I agree with you. Any way the Flames can move guys who are going to be unrestricted free agents and get something in return, anything in return to help that rebuilding process, that's a plus. For me, it's the Buffalo Sabres. We've already seen it. Everyone can go. Yeah. Everyone can go from that team. It came right back to me. That was awesome. But I'm telling you right now, everyone's free. If they're going to move on from Ryan Miller, who was the cornerstone of that franchise, anyone can go. And quite frankly, they need it. They need to go.
Curt, I'm glad you brought up Ryan Miller. Ryan Miller just leaving Buffalo, going to St. Louis. Who are the winners and losers in that?
For me, it's simple. The big winner is the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues, they run away. They fleeced the Buffalo Sabres in this one. Let me tell you why.
Maybe right now, but not 3 years down the road.
Well, go ahead. Explain. Go ahead.
You know, I look at Halak and Miller as a push. I look at Ott and Chris Stewart as a push. So then the Sabres are pocketing a first-round pick, another draft pick, and a fantastic prospect. You know, Ryan Miller is not the goalie he was. He's not. I think everybody has this idea of Ryan Miller as this American hero, like this fantastic goaltender. He's a great netminder, but he's just as good as Halak.
Oh, that hurts me. Okay. Ryan Miller was on an awful Buffalo Sabres team and kept him in most games. He's still an elite goalie. He really is. Now listen,
he is.
The reason why the Sabres lost this trade, and if you're a Sabres fan, it's like coming down on Christmas morning and not getting the gift you wanted. It's like Santa didn't even show up, okay? Vladimir Tarasenko and Jaden Swartz, 2 young forwards of the St. Louis Blues, the best 2 young players on that team. If this trade was supposed to happen, they should have been involved. This trade should have set up the Sabres for the future, and it didn't. They missed out.
They got a first-round pick.
Great, a first-round pick from the St. Louis Blues, which will be towards the end of the first-round pick. That doesn't change.
How do you know they're going to be right where they are next year?
Just look at the team. The team's built to win. They play defense.
They're built to win now.
Sure.
And
they'll be there next year.
At the same time, the Sabres kept their 2 best prospects too, are their best young guys, and Cody Hodgson and Tyler Myers.
Of course they did. I mean, when you're training a guy like Ryan Miller, you shouldn't have to throw in any other young players.
But Ryan Miller's not that good.
Okay. Well,
if you're the best guy in the Sabres, that's like, you know, being the best thing on the dollar menu. Like, you're pretty good, and people love you, but you're not great by any means.
I love the analogy, but I have to disagree with you. He still is an elite goaltender. He really is. He just hasn't been in the limelight because he's been in Siberia, a.k.a. Buffalo. Get him in the postseason. Get him into a playoff run. He's going to make the difference between that team competing for the Stanley Cup Finals or not.
Well, I got to agree with you, Curt. Big loss for Buffalo. Yeah. Ryan Miller was a hero in 2010 in Vancouver, even though we did not get the gold. But that's all the time we have for this edition of 101 Sports Webcast. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at 101 Sports.